Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Chayam Udirayet Nashta Preshabhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki, and Bhakti will be an irrevocable fact. So we read from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1. The canto's title is Creation, and the chapter's title is Narada's Instructions on Srimad Bhagavatam. And today we read the verse number 8. So now the answer by Narada Muni, right? Because Vyasadeva was speaking before, and now let's see what Narada will say. Shri Narada Vacha. Shri Narada Vacha. Bhavatanudita prayam. Bhavatanudita prayam. Yasho Bhagavato Malam. Yasho Bhagavato Malam. Yenaiva sauna tushyeta. Yenaiva sauna tushyeta. Manyeta darshanam kilam. Manyeta darshanam kilam. Srinada vacha. Bhavatanudita prayam. Yasho Bhagavato malam. Yenaiva sauna tushyeta. Manyeta darshanam kilam.
Shri Narada Uvacha. Shri Narada Uvacha. Bhavatanudita prayam. Bhavatanudita prayam. Yasho Bhagavato malam. Yasho Bhagavato malam. Vinaya Rashodatu Shita. Vinaya Rashodatu Shita. Manyeta darshanam kilam. Manyeta darshanam kilam.
Shri Narada Uvacha.
Shri Narada Uvacha.
Bhavatanudita prayam.
Bhavatanudita prayam.
Yasho Bhagavato malam.
Yasho Bhagavato malam.
Yenaiva sauna tushena.
Yenaiva sauna tushyeta.
Manyeta darshanam kilam.
Manyeta darshanam kilam.
Mataji's.
Shri Narada Uvacha. Bhavatanudita prayam. Yasho Bhagavato malam. Yenaiva tushyeta. Manyeta darshanam kilam. Shri Narada Uvacha. Bhavatanudita prayam. Yasho Bhagavato malam. Yenaiva sauna tushyeta. Manyeta darshanam kilam.
Shri Narada.
Shri Narada.
Shri Narada. Uvacha. Said. Bhavata. By you. Anudita prayam. Almost not praised. Yashaha. Glories. Bhagavata. Of the personality of Godhead. Amalam. Spotless. Yena. By which. Eva. Certainly. Asau. He.
Yeah.
The personality of Godhead.
The personality of God.
Na. Does not. Tushita. Be pleased. Manye. I think. Tat. That. Darshanam. Philosophy. Kilam. Inferior. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. Sri Narada said, You have not actually broadcast the sublime and spotless glories of the personality of Godhead. That philosophy which does not satisfy the transcendental senses of the Lord is considered worthless. Purport. The eternal relation of an individual soul with the supreme soul personality of Godhead is constitutionally one of being the eternal servitor of the eternal Master. The Lord has expanded Himself as living beings in order to accept loving service from them, and this alone can satisfy both the Lord and the living beings. Such a scholar as Vyasadeva has completed many expansions of the Vedic literatures, ending with the Vedanta philosophy, but none of them have been written directly glorifying the personality of Godhead. Dry philosophical speculations, even on the transcendental subject of the Absolute, have very little attraction without directly dealing with the glorification of the Lord. The personality of Godhead is the last word in transcendental realization. The Absolute realized as impersonal Brahman or localized Supersoul Paramatma is less productive of transcendental bliss than the supreme personal realization of His glories. Interesting how Prabhupada puts this, huh? Is less productive of transcendental bliss. So the realization of Brahman and Paramatma is not producing so much bliss as the Supreme Person. The compiler of the Vedanta Darshan is Vyasadeva himself, yet he is troubled, although he is the author. So what sort of transcendental bliss can be derived by the readers and listeners of Vedanta, which is not explained directly by Vyasadeva, the author? Herein arises the necessity of explaining Vedanta Sutra in the form of Srimad Bhagavatam by the self-same author. End of purport. Om Agyanti Mirandasya Ginanjana Salakaya Chakshurun Militamina Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangung Langayati Girim Yat Kripatamang Vande Shri Gurun Dinataran Shri Chaitanya Manobistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Svayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Svabadantikam Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadada Shri Vasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. I will speak a little bit on a couple of points of this purport, and then what I'd like to do is to see how would Prabhupada speak now. Yeah? If Prabhupada would be here, read this verse, what would he give as a lecture? And fortunately, I have this book here, where not all them, but I think maybe all, there are many parts of this book. All the lectures which Prabhupada gave are written down. And here I found a lecture from 1969, May 24th, in New Vrindavan, on Srimad Bhagavatam 158. Right? So this is the same verse, and I would like to... It's not too long, and of course I will not read the whole, but go a little bit through to see which points would Prabhupada make now, right? I know what I would say now and this and that, but let's see what would Prabhupada say. And this is kind of interesting. But at first I want to still cover a couple of his points he made here. So the first was what I found quite astonishing in this purport, where Prabhupada says that, first he says the constitutional position of the soul, of us, is to be a servant of God. That's our constitutional position. And then he gives an explanation why this is so and how this is so. And he says the Lord has expanded himself as living beings. The Lord has expanded into us. The souls are expansions of Krishna. But why? In order to accept loving service from them. So he expands into the souls without getting less. This is a very important point. When Krishna expands himself, if something emanates from Krishna, something comes from Krishna, he is not getting less. He's not losing in power capacity. He's an unlimited storage of diverse energies. Not are just souls emanating from him, also there's spiritual energies emanating from him. We call this the Brahman, the impersonal energy, this light emanating, like the sun has sunlight. Right? So Krishna has this impersonal aspect, light, and this is expanding unlimited, in unlimited space. And also material energies emanating from him, and a big variety of other transcendental personalities, but he's never getting less. So he says, and all these small particles, the souls, who are not just little particles of light or something, sometimes we imagine the soul as being just some light particle or something. No, it's a spiritual person. What we are is a spiritual person with a spiritual form, with a spiritual identity, with a spiritual, individual being. And why is he expanding into this? That they can give him loving service. That they can love him. So that we are expressions of Krishna's love. This is what we actually are. We are meant to love Krishna. Yeah? And it's not that he is just the, actually even it said he's the transcendental autocrat, but it's not in a negative way. He's the one, it's not that he's like a dictator, I expand myself in all the slaves and they can serve me then. No, it's love. He loves them too. He loves us too. So there's this is why Krishna is doing actually anything to manifest love, to exchange love with all the parts and particles, except for the material world. This is the world for reformation for those who don't want to love him. Then he says, okay, then if you don't want to love me and serve me, here's the material world, and do whatever you like, and come to your senses and see what is the truth, and then you will come back and see what is really good. So service from, and this alone can satisfy both, and here it says, the Lord and the living beings. Prabhupada says, this can alone satisfy the Lord, this love, and also the living beings. Right? So if we have a tendency of no love, then we have this material world. So this I found interesting. And then also the last part, or the second point, where he speaks on what I said, it produces transcendental bliss. That the highest realization or the highest happiness we can derive is from this loving exchange with the person and not with the Brahman or Paramatma. Even many people don't like to have a personal God because they feel then too much pressure or something. Because if there's a personal God who is an individual, then he's the Lord and then it's not me, and suddenly there are some obligations and rules and all this kinds of stuff. So they like to envision a God who is neutral, and this is then energy, and the light and the energy and unlimited, and we are part of it also, or we are that too, and there's a whole philosophy to this, so you can merge into this, and there's no obligation, right, there's no duty, but there's also no love then, right, because no relationship, no love. And then also the Paramatma. So Prabhupada says here that these things exist, and this is quite remarkable in our philosophy, that we don't negate these things. We say, okay, impersonal things exist. Paramatma exists. Whereas others who believe in this impersonal God, they don't say that the personal one exists. They don't say this. They say it's only this impersonal. But in Vaishnava philosophy, we understand, no, personal feature, impersonal feature, both is there. But there's a spiritual and transcendental hierarchy, because the impersonal, the energy is coming from the person, emanating from the person. So when Prabhupada says, this produces more transcendental bliss than the impersonal. And the last point, Vedanta Darshan, it might be a little bit too technical for now, but the Srimad Bhagavatam is the natural commentary to the Vedanta Sutra. So if we want to understand the highest philosophy, we should read the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is a natural commentary on the highest philosophy. So this was a from the purport. And now I would like to read a couple of interesting points of this lecture. I can just recommend, if you like to read Prabhupada's words, you can listen to them. This lecture probably you can listen to, you will find somewhere, and then you can read it also. You can read it, you can listen, or just read. And it's interesting how strong these words are. Of course, all of Prabhupada's words are strong, but this is now, when you read this, you kind of get the mood of Prabhupada's preaching. You can be very much there. So the first thing, Prabhupada starts speaking here. You have no tilak. Because this is a recording from the actual lectures. This is the first, what he says to a devotee. You have no tilak. Because it said we should have tilak. So everyone who has no tilak, Prabhupada says, you have no tilak. And the devotee says, oh, sorry, Prabhupada. Sorry, Prabhupada. And then Prabhupada chants this, Om Jnana Timirandasya, of course, what we chant. And even that he says here, He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate and Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi. And then he starts explaining about the verse, and he makes the point, Tasmin Tushte Jagat Tushtam. Which means, if the Lord is satisfied, the whole universe is satisfied. If God or Krishna is satisfied, the whole world is satisfied. The modern civilization is lacking this knowledge. Asuric civilization. Asura means demonic. Sura means demigod, godly, and Asura is the opposite, non-godly or demonic. It's a strong word, demonic, but Prabhupada translates it like demonic. He says Asuric civilization, demonic civilization. What to speak of satisfying God? They are denying the existence of God, and they want peace and happiness. And now Prabhupada starts speaking about how this is not possible. How you cannot have peace and happiness without God. They want to have a kingdom of God without God. And he quotes here Ravana. Ravana was a great demon, lived many millions of years back. Where was he living? Who knows? Ravan's home? Lanka, yes. Sri Lanka. Sri means very good Lanka. Wonderful Lanka. Ceylon, right? Ceylon, Sri Lanka. And Prabhupada explains here very interesting points. I remember at first he quotes another person from his time probably, the Archbishop of Canterbury. Prabhupada quotes now the Archbishop of Canterbury. He says, I remember there was a speech by Bishop of Canterbury. He said that, you people, you want kingdom of God without God. So, Prabhupada in general, you can see he very often quoted actually. This is actually Vedic tradition. You quote the scripture, you quote the masters, and Prabhupada puts himself always as a representative of this disciplic succession of the tradition, as a representative of his spiritual master and a representative of the Vedic scriptures. He very much, gave importance to this and said, also, I'm just a humble servant. And he always said that what I say is coming from the tradition. He was very, very humble in this way. And later you will see interesting what Prabhupada says. He confirms this, what I said now. So that is our policy. Ravana's policy. Ravana's policy was kingdom of God without God. Kingdom of God means everyone is prosperous, happy in every respect. That is considered a kingdom of God, so far materially considered. So Ravana wanted, he was materialistic. And now his capital was almost gold. Because it said, Prabhupada will explain now, that Lanka, this millions of years back when Ravana, this big, it was actually a Rakshasa. He was not actually a human. He was an, Rakshasa means actually man-eater. But it's not a cannibal from the jungle. These are higher dimensional living beings who have many powers, and they are much more powerful than humans, but very demoniac. And it said many millions of years back, the dimensions were not so separated, you can say. The universe consists of many, many layers of dimensions. And in other ages, the situation is not so conditioned, and we are more in contact with the other dimensions. Right? So, and there it was possible that other living beings were also on the earth. Not just us humans, but also Gandharvas and demigods and Rakshasas. So we find in the Vedic scriptures all over the place an interplanetary, intercosmic exchange. Yeah. But in Kali Yuga, in this age where we are now, we are not qualified for having contact to higher realms easily. So that's the reason why we are separated and conditioned in our gross material world. So Ravana was very powerful. So he says here, his capital was almost gold. And he says, every house was, I mean to say, wrapped with gold. Every house was wrapped with gold. Svarna Lanka, now he quotes even the Sanskrit, it was not his imagination. He says, Svarna Lanka, Svarna, gold. Svarna Lanka means, at that time, Ravana's kingdom, the Ceylon, modern Ceylon, was covered with gold everywhere. Very rich, very, very rich. So when you read this, right, you can somehow imagine Prabhupada speaking, isn't it? Very, very rich. It is said that in Ravana's, and now very interesting what he says, in Ravana's room, moon was rising. And was Prabhupada how he explains what this means. That means there was electricity at that time also, or similar lights. So the descriptions are very nice. It was a very prosperous and rich country. And the policy was without God. Material civilization means like that, without God. So in Ravana's room, he means the civilization was very powerful. Even millions of years back, they had more technique, high, technologies. They were not, how is it said, cavemen. Yeah. So Vedic scriptures don't confirm cavemen. There might have been cavemen, monkey people like this, but there were also higher developed people. So this messes up a little bit the evolution theory of Darwin, yeah? But about this we can talk another time to shock our academics. So Prabhupada says further, so the result was, what was the result? That everything became vanquished. Whole Ravana's kingdom with his family, with his everything finished. And now he quotes, Hare Krishna Rakeke, Rake Krishna Mareke. It's a very nice slogan. Huh? And it means, if Krishna protects you, nobody can kill you. If Krishna wants to kill you, nobody can protect you. This is Hare Krishna Rakeke, Rake Krishna Mareke. If Krishna protects, nobody can kill him. And if Krishna kills, nobody can protect him. And he goes now a little bit in the history, what happened, and about demigods. So he talks a little bit on this story. So the next point he will make now. So our business should be, the whole business should be how to please the Supreme Lord. And in the Bhagavad Gita, there's a very simple formula, how to please the Supreme Lord. Krishna says. So now interesting, what is Prabhupada quoting from all these verses of Bhagavad Gita? Which one is to please the Lord? Like yesterday I quoted the peace formula. You remember? The 3 points. Someone remembers the 3 points of the peace formula? Yes, you can look it up. Someone remembers? Oh, except Kormahan. Huh? Think about it. Peace formula, if you do this, then Shanti, Richati, you achieve peace. 3 points it was one.
All sacrifice and austerity should be offered to Krishna.
Yes, everything should be done for Krishna. Bhaktanam Yagya Tapasam. Yeah, then maybe something else. There are 2 more. Someone remembers? Yes.
Krishna is the supreme proprietor of all planets.
Yeah, everything belongs to Krishna. Sarva Lokamaishwaram. And something. One more. Okay, yeah.
And he is the well-wisher following.
Yeah, it's the best friend, the Suridam, the dearmost friend of everyone, right? Very interesting on this point. In Kali Yuga it said, we are not very intelligent. And this is confirmed. One part of intelligence, we forget things so quickly. It was yesterday. It was yesterday. Yeah, and it's amazing how it's gone, as if it would have never happened. Yeah, last time when Paramatma gave the lecture 2 days back, he also mentioned this forgetfulness, Vergessen, Vergesslichkeit. And I was thinking about it, it's true, it's amazing how forgetful we are. We forget like everything. So why are we doing anything anyway? We lose it anyway. What's the use of doing something, right? There is use, of course, but it's interesting how forgetful we are, right? It was yesterday. Huh? What can we know about, like, what were we doing 1 year back, or, who knows? So interesting. This is a sign. In other ages, people, very smart. They know all this. Of course I know it. Because the brain is like a computer. If you press, speichern, it works. Save, it's saved. But in Kali Yuga, the computers, it's like Windows. In other ages, we have, I don't know, Apple. Satya Yuga, it's Apple. In Treta and Dwapara, it's more Linux. And in Kali Yuga, it's all Windows, all Microsoft. No problem. So many viruses and so, problem. And no update possible. Huh? Yeah, I might switch now. Because I make the evolution, right? I was starting off with the Windows, and now in the Linux, but maybe I switch, I go now. The evolution. We have to... Okay, so anyway, which verse is Prabhupada now quoting? So he's quoting, Ya idang paramam goyam matbhaktisha vidasati nachadasma manushishu kashima me priya kritamaha. It's from the 18th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, where Krishna says, the one who preaches this supreme science, this knowledge of Krishna consciousness to the devotees, Prabhupada interprets also to the people, who gives this knowledge to the people. He is most dear to me, and no one will ever be more dear to me than he. Kashinme priya kritama. Priya kritama means like supremely dear. And then Prabhupada, of course, goes into the whole discussion, explanation of preaching, of helping the world, of giving this knowledge to the people. And he makes many, many points on this. And he quotes also yesterday, or the day before, we were speaking on 7.15 of Bhagavad Gita, speaking of misrepresentations of Bhagavad Gita. So Prabhupada speaks here also now on 7.15. And he says, Dr. Radha Krishna, even great scholars like Dr. Radha Krishna. Imagine, a doctor whose name is Radha Krishna. Sounds great, right? He was once the president of India, or prime minister. I think, no, president. He was president, but very great scholar. And when he retired, he wrote a purport to Bhagavad Gita. A translation, a purport to Bhagavad Gita. Prabhupada, when he came in the West, he had no translation of Bhagavad Gita so far. And when he gave lectures, he used this translation. He read the Sanskrit, the translation was quite good. And as far as I know, still a great part of the verses we have in our Bhagavad Gita are the translations of Dr. Radha Krishna. Prabhupada was considering the translation not as important as the purport. The purports, of course, Prabhupada's words. So, and he says, even great scholars like Dr. Radha Krishna, he denies. Right? And then he says, Asurang Bhavam Ashrita. Immediately smashes him. One who has taken the attitude of becoming a demonic, however learned he may be, Maya Parita Jnana. His learning, his knowledge has been taken away by Maya. And later on he also speaks a little bit more on this verse. So meaning if we might be great scholars, we might do so many wonderful things, we might even build huge civilizations, empires, with great material prosperity. But without God, everything is doomed. Yeah. Because you, as I said, or Krishna says in the 13th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, he gives a list of knowledge. What is knowledge? And there are 20 elements of knowledge. And then he says, besides that, whatever there may be, it's ignorance. And in this list is not physics and chemistry and social sciences or rocket science or military science, what we consider knowledge nowadays. The elements are all how to become free of the material condition. These are all elements how to realize yourself, how to get into contact with Krishna. This is knowledge. And everything else, it seems knowledge, but it's not freeing us from the circle of birth and death. So it's actually ignorance. So in the same way, if we build huge empires, we might be so qualified this and that. If we don't make spiritual progress, what is actual progress? What's the use? You might be a great king of a huge empire, and you die, and next life what? You might be Mr. Einstein, so intelligent, you die, next time life what? So what is really helping and staying and substantial is the spiritual progress. Krishna himself confirms this in Bhagavad Gita. Nehabikramu nashasti pratyavayo na vidyate. Svipamapi asya dharmasya trayate matobayat. He says, in contrast to material, because material, you might make lots of advancement, but then it will be like nothing, right? Temporary. But Krishna says, even the slightest advancement on this path, on the spiritual path, he says, it's saving you from the greatest type of fear. And it will stay. It said, when we will die, and we made some advancement in spiritual consciousness, in the next life we will continue where we left off. And it's always said we have a spiritual bank account. It's a spiritual bank account, so don't worry. It's not like a material bank, it'll take away everything. Spiritual. And you pay in 10, 20, this, you add, and it will stay. And even if you die, the soul leaves the body, you take another body, this bank account you take with you, and then you continue paying in until you have 100%, and then means you're done with the material and you go back to the spiritual world. It will always stay. And what we are right now doing, we are heavily paying in right now. In being in the temple, chanting, devotees, darshan, Hare Krishna, prasadam. All this is pure investment. Pure investment, the right investment of our life energy. Other people invest their valuable life energy in something what is completely useless. Most of the stuff is completely useless. Yeah? They have nothing, they will have nothing but waste their valuable time. Time you can never pay back. Chanakya Pandit says, one moment wasted, you can never get it back with any amount of money. So we should very carefully judge how to use time and our energy. And Krishna says, if you pay in here, it will always stay. And even he says, even the slightest advancement will protect from the greatest type of fear. It's very interesting. He will always protect. So Prabhupada goes here now in the whole thing. Preaching, this will please Krishna, and he even quotes here, similar, we talked yesterday about this. He quotes Nityananda Prabhu, who is the Supreme Lord, as most merciful avatar, who was preaching himself and was attacked by Chaga and Madai. And then if Prabhupada quotes, and when Lord Jesus was crucified, killed, so a preacher has the risk. Therefore Krishna says, these field workers who are engaged in preaching this Bhagavad Gita as it is, they are very, very dear to me. Very, very dear to me. There's nobody dearer to me than that person who preaches this confidential truth to the people. So this is the sure way how to please the Lord. Because as Prabhupada says here, what we read, that we are all expansions of Him to give Him pleasure. And not just that He can love someone. Imagine God, Krishna, being in an unlimited world, huge in all directions, unlimited in all directions, with all great facilities and Vrindavan, and everything is great and wonderful, and He sits there in the center all alone. It's great, but yeah, whom do I show all that stuff, right? Who can enjoy with me? How can I share my love? So that's the reason why He says, oh, I need some guys, I need some people, I need some friends, and He expands. Even though this was not really happening because we are all eternal. This is another question. How expanding, coming into being, but being eternal? But this is in the spiritual realm. On the material platform we cannot figure it out. Yeah? Because we are eternal. So anyway, this is the principle of His. So there are many, many, many of His parts and parcels whom He wants to love, whom He wants to show Goloka Vrindavan, hanging out in the material world, thinking themselves Mr. Müller und Frau was auch immer, going to work, struggling, having so many problems and all this. And He says, what are they doing? They should be with me here in Goloka Vrindavan, eating, sandesh and running around and enjoying. But they, living in this Kali Yuga. So if you go out there and tell Herr Müller, you are actually not Herr Müller. You are a spirit soul. Please, take one of these books. And he takes it. Krishna says, oh, he brings him back. Krishna is very happy. He misses Herr Müller. Really? I don't miss Herr Müller. Happy that he's not here. Right? We are not so tolerant, but Krishna is missing. So if we are engaging in this, Prabhupada calls it field work, like field work, then Krishna is very pleased. So Prabhupada continues, therefore, if we want to please Krishna, we have to take this risk. Even the risk, and he quotes here Jesus, who got crucified for doing this. Even, we have to take this risk. My spiritual master, he speaks now about his guru, my spiritual master took this risk, preaching work, and he inspired us also to do that preaching work. When Prabhupada says us, he means me. But out of his humility, he's never saying me, I, this, that. He always says us or we. Which, because if you read this, you kind of think about lots of people. Of course, there was the Gaudiya Math and all that, but often Prabhupada says us or we, but means himself. But he wants to be humble and not put himself in front. And we are also imploring you to take, and now he says, and we are also imploring you. But who is we? It's only Prabhupada, right? So it's not, so he doesn't want to say, I implore you. It says, we are. And we are also imploring you to take this preaching work. So this preaching work, however, I mean to say poorly we do, poorly. It is not poor. But suppose I'm not very much educated. Interesting, Prabhupada puts himself now, it says, poor we do, means I do it very poorly. I just try my best. I don't know much, I cannot do much, but I try to do it at least. He quotes himself as someone who is actually unqualified. It's interesting. And now he explains kind of like, I'm not qualified, I'm doing, so you're unqualified, you should also do. And now he says like this, so I am not very much educated, just like this boy. I don't know if he showed into some brahmachari there in the audience, but he said, just as this boy. If I send him for preaching work, he's not very educated now, he's not a philosopher, he's not a scholar, but he can also preach. He can also preach, because our preaching is not very difficult thing. It's not very difficult thing. If we go from door to door and simply request people, my dear sir, you chant Hare Krishna. My dear sir, you chant Hare Krishna. Please chant Hare Krishna. And then he says, and if he is a little advanced, please try to read Teaching of Lord Chaitanya. This was a book what Prabhupada wrote very early, where there's the philosophy of Krishna consciousness in a nice book compiled. It is very nice, you will be benefited. It's interesting, Prabhupada's mood of preaching is out of great humility. Please take this. He's not coming, of course, sometimes these statements like, I give you a brain and all this what I quotes, but in general, Prabhupada has a very humble attitude in his preaching. Please take this. It's so good. It's so important. So these 4 words will make you a preacher. I don't know which one he means now, but please chant Hare Krishna or something like that. So these 4, and now he asks, is it very difficult? And he said in brackets, chuckles. So he was like laughing a little bit. You may not be very learned, very good scholar, very good philosopher. You simply say, go and door to door. My dear sir, you are very learned man. For the time being, you stop your learning. Simply chant Hare Krishna. Interesting, huh? And where is Prabhupada getting this? Most of us who read Prabhupada's books, they know where Prabhupada got this technique now of saying, oh, you're so learned, but forget your learning, chant Hare Krishna. Of course, it's in quote by Prabhupada Ananda Saraswati, who is the uncle of Gopal Bhatta Goswami, and he wrote an important verse, which is very long. I never learned it by heart, but it has many important elements of Krishna consciousness. And one part is, and now he says, just like Prabhupada Ananda Saraswati did, he said, Dante nidaya trinakam padayo nipatya. The preaching method is his teaching. And what is it? Prabhupada will explain then. I will jump a little bit ahead here, because he goes into detail who is Prabhupada Ananda Saraswati, about the history. And then he says here, therefore he said, Dante nidaya trinakam. Trinakam means blade of grass, right? Trinata piso nichina. Trina is a blade of grass. And Dante means, who knows what Dante means? Dense, dental, yeah, teeth, huh? Dentist. The words come from the Sanskrit. Dante means teeth. Prabhupada said, Dante means teeth. Padayo nipatya. And falling down on your feet. kakushatam kritva, and flattering you 100 times. My dear sir, you're so great, you're so big, you're so learned, you're so rich, you're so beautiful and everything. Although he may not be. Although he may not be. So dantini dayatim nakam badayoni pate kakushatam kritva cha. Satam means 100 times flattering. I've come to you to say something. Why you are so humble? What is it? What do you want to talk? No, I am. Okay, Prabhupada quoting here, this is a little bit difficult. But it means this blade of grass. Later Prabhupada explains, in India it's an expression of humility. If you take a blade of grass in your mouth and you come to someone, this is a sign of great humility. And normally a gentleman, he will not refuse you if you come in humility. And he asks then, what do you want? What can I do for you? So please chant Hare Krishna. And flatter you 100 times. So this is the mood. And this is in this verse. And there are many, many other things Prabhupada explains here. He quotes this verse, goes into the philosophy of the verse about the horse eggs. You heard about horse eggs? Or flower in the sky? Or phantasmagoria? Prabhupada explains these are the illusions of the material world. Like horse eggs. And then he asked, have you ever seen a horse giving eggs? Not existing. Meaning it's an illusion. So the material pleasures are illusions. So he speaks on this, illusions of this world. Akasha, Pushpa, Phantasmagoria. All this. And then he speaks also on the snake. This is very interesting. He speaks on the senses. These are also statements by the scriptures. The senses being snakes. Because we as the soul want something different than the body. Some of you might have this experience. There's a German saying, I think it's even English. Der Geist ist willig, doch das Fleisch ist schwach. What is in English? You know it in English? The mind is willing, but the flesh is weak. Is there a saying like in English? Something, but you know what it means. In German, it's like a very old saying. Meaning, you want something, some good idea, some idealistic idea, some determination in your mind. But the flesh is weak. It wants something completely different. Right? The senses want something different. They just want stupid sense gratification. So these senses who always want something different than what we actually want or should want are like snakes. And snakes, Prabhupada explains, are very fearsome. Because you never know if they are poisonous. And if a snake bites you, it's very dangerous. And then it said, if you live a spiritual life, you might have still the senses. But they are like snakes without poison. Or if the poisonous tooth is broken out, so it's actually harmless. So if there's a snake and you know it's not poisonous, who is afraid of a snake without poison? Okay, if you have like this, some snake, but it's not poisonous, right? It cannot do nothing, right? Snakes can do nothing. The only thing they can do is bite, if they have poison. But without poison, they are super harmless. Okay, maybe this anaconda, it can strangle you. Okay. It can strangle you. Okay. But let's take a normal snake, right? 1 meter by, or 2 meter even, the thin ones, right? You rip it apart, no problem. Huh? You can do. Or you take, in India they do, in the village boys, if there's a snake, even though poisonous, they are so expert. They go and they catch it on the tail, right? They catch it on the tail and then they hit it. Like this. Or there is this other one, this, cobra, but the other one is the mongols, right? And for what are mongols famous? Yeah, they are not afraid of the snakes. They are fast. Yeah, no snake can do anything. Snakes are very fast, right? But the mongols are much faster and they come. You have seen mongols when they fight against the snake, they are in front, they look, and the snake is all over it. Very intense animals, these mongols. They are very likable, right? So in the same way, our senses, which are uncontrollable, especially the mind. Arjuna says in the Bhagavad Gita, when Krishna gives all the instructions of mind control, then Arjuna says, Thanks for instructions, but no thanks. What you tell me, it's impossible, because the mind is more difficult to control than the wind. Right? So what to do? The mind, very difficult to control. But if we engage all our senses and the mind in Krishna's service, automatically they are controlled. You don't have to pull it back mechanically. Oh, don't look, don't hear, don't smell, don't taste, don't think. Right? The senses want to do all this. So it's very difficult to control like this. But this wonderful process of Krishna consciousness, you can use the senses and the mind in Krishna's service. Yes, look at the deities, look at the devotees. Hear the holy name, the spiritual sound vibration. Read, chant. So we are doing all day long with the senses. Even though we are not the senses. But this is the way how to purify. This is the great mercy and of this process of Bhakti Yoga. In other processes, when you're a yogi and you want to realize yourself, you go into the cave in the Himalaya, you are not wearing anything, maybe just some cloth, you're sitting and meditating, you are like, negating the whole world because everything is Maya, right? Everything is Maya. So if you deal with Maya, you get tempted, you fall into Maya, an illusion. So the yogis, they go in the cave and they meditate and they ignore everything, and they might achieve something, but how difficult this is. Who can do this? Right? But this, everyone can do. Hare Krishna, Prasadam, and devotees, and all this. So we can use our abilities, our senses, in Krishna's service and make very quick advancement. As Prabhupada said here, it produces more bliss. What is more blissful? Chanting, dancing, feasting, or sitting in a cave? Cold cave. Himalaya, right? Cold cave. Just with cloth. So this is very easy, very joyful. It's said in Bhagavad Gita 9.2. Joyfully performed. Susukam kartum avyayam. Joyfully. Susukam, very joyfully performed. And this is Raja Vidya, king of knowledge. Not sitting in cave, not joyfully performed. Even with other yogis, right? Many yogis, not true. Very intense. So this is about the senses. Prabhupada explains the snake and all this, and what else? Which points he made? Nice points. Oh yeah, and now comes this one. This is also very nice. As I said before, we quote, or yesterday I spoke about this, that I think during Prasadam, if I go to some person and say, "You're actually a fool. You're a fool because you're not living spiritually," he might say, "Oh, how can you call me a fool?" And then so, no, not I say, Bhagavad Gita. Krishnas, I just quote Bhagavad Gita. Right? And Prabhupada is doing this very often. He quotes the verse, which one we were discussing now, Nacha, what is it? Yeah, Namang Duskriti no Muda, for the first. Duskriti, Muda, Mayaparita, Jnana, all. Naradama, lowest of mankind, right? Don't surrender to Krishna. So Prabhupada speaks on this now. Just like we sometimes criticize big men. Prabhupada says, So what strength? So on what strength do we criticize big men? That strength is because we have taken shelter of Krishna consciousness, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Otherwise, any ordinary man can criticize. Just like the consulate general in San Francisco. Some guy he met. He was speaking to me that, "Swamiji, you have called Maharishi a rascal." Everyone knows Maharishi? Maharishi Yogesh Yogi was the original guru of the Beatles, but then Prabhupada took over. They found like Prabhupada and more. Anyways, so what is it? You call Maharishi a rascal? Some Prabhupada says, no, I've never said. No, Prabhupada doesn't say. See what Prabhupada says. Yes, I may have called. What is that? And then so he says, so the people, a man who is worshipped by so many people, we call rascal. On what strength? The strength is this Krishna consciousness. We can prove that he is rascal. I'm not speaking. Krishna is speaking. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Namang tu skriti no muda. Muda means rascal. So I'm repeating Krishna's words. Anyone who does not surrender unto Krishna, he is rascal. So we can quote from Bhagavad Gita. If somebody brings case against us, so we can freely say that I am not speaking. It is said in Bhagavad Gita. You just bring libel case against Bhagavad Gita. Why you are troubling me? Brackets, laughter. So Prabhupada laughing. Maybe it is in a okay way. Why is Prabhupada oftentimes so heavy? Rascal, fools. These were kind of common words Prabhupada used. Because it's true. What is fool? What is rascal? Rascal is someone who is posing to know something, not knowing, misleading people. This is called rascal. Someone who misguides people. This is rascal, this is cheating. And fool is the one who follows, not knowing what is he doing. So that's the reason why I also say fools and rascals. Right? So we shouldn't, nowadays, these words might sometimes, even though Prabhupada is quite decent with his labeling people, it's not too bad in comparison to other words we could use, so Prabhupada is quite gentleman-like in one sense. So nowadays we have this political correctness, right? Which is good. I like it. I like to speak respectfully with people and all this. But at the same time, we should not be afraid of saying the truth. And especially if it's such an important topic about, how to say, how to use their life in all this. So if someone is preaching and teaching nonsense, we shouldn't be afraid of saying it. For the good of the people who are getting misled. And many of the fools will not like it anyways. Will not like it. Okay, they will not like, but some will like it and will be happy. Oh, at least someone's saying. I personally was so happy when I started reading Prabhupada's books. Another person told me, he was so happy, he thought, finally someone says it. Right? Finally someone tells us how it is. Everyone else, like all these gurus, even, he quotes one person, right? They only want to sell something. They want to make you God. They want to pamper your ego. I'm good, you're good, I'm okay, you're okay. And with this you can catch many people. These gurus were catching many people because this sells easily. Right? So Prabhupada's, or Vedic, actually true Vedic knowledge had such a high standard. So many austerities, all this, but it sells you something real. Right? And this everything else, the quick process, this is not working. So that's the reason why Prabhupada was very outspoken on all these teachers and gurus, because they were cheating. And especially were representing knowledge, which is not knowledge, and sometimes were even representing Vedic knowledge as non-Vedic. Like this Dr. Radha Krishna he quotes. Because Dr. Radha Krishna explicitly says in the Bhagavad Gita, where Krishna says, Sarva dharmam parityacha mamekang sharanang vracha ahang tvang sarva papebhyo moksha shaimashucha. Krishna says, give up everything, surrender unto me, I will free you from all karma, I will free you from all, he says, actually sinful reactions, negative reactions, and he says, don't worry, do not fear, just do it. And in the explanation, Dr. Radha Krishna says, it's not Krishna to whom we have to surrender. It's the unspoken, eternal, inside Krishna, kind of behind Krishna. Completely contradicting Krishna's words. Krishna doesn't say, surrender to the impersonal inside me, which is speaking now through this material form. Actually, it's not me who am the supreme, it's this thing behind me. So, Krishna is not saying this in any place in Bhagavad Gita. Always a difference, actually. Krishna says, ahang brahmano hi pratishtaham. Meaning, this impersonal, what everyone is talking about, pratishta, I am. Aham pratishta means I am its foundation. He says it clearly. I am the foundation of the Brahma, the impersonal energy. It's coming from me. It's my energy. He says, there's no truth above me. Everything rests upon me as pearls are strung on a thread. Bhagavad Gita 7:7. So if someone says the opposite and says, no, it's the other way around, the impersonal is the true thing, and Krishna comes out of it, and Krishna enters it and will be gone. So this is cheating. And it's a rascal. And it's misleading. Because with this, there are many things connected. I have no time to explain this in detail, but I will. Why this is actually very dangerous even. It's not just philosophical, because the philosophy leads to lifestyle. And so this comes in very egoistic, materialistic, demonic lifestyle at times. So I see the time is almost up, but one last statement Prabhupada says, and this is very, very sweet for the end. I hope I will find it. Yes, here it is. And with this I end, and then you have some questions. And actually right now I spoke on something what Prabhupada addresses here, on this impersonal, personal thing. And I will read this, what Prabhupada says. So by the grace of Lord Chaitanya, you will find to merge into the effulgence, to become one with the Supreme, will be considered as hell, actually. This is another statement from this Prabhupada, where it says, Narakayate. Nara means actually hellish, hell. So the merging into this oneness is considered by devotees hellish even though it's actually spiritual. To merge this is spiritual, but it's considered hellish. So why? So if you ask any pure devotee, any pure bhakta, do you want to merge into the existence impersonal Brahman? So ask any devotee, can answer in your mind, do you want to merge? He'll deny. He'll deny. If he has got little Krishna consciousness, he'll deny that. What is this merging? This is hellish. We want to dance with Krishna. Why shall I merge and lose my existence, individuality? So this is what devotee will think. Why shall I merge in this impersonal, lose my individuality, merge in the oneness? I want to dance with Krishna. So this is Prabhupada's experience. So dancing with Krishna is more beautiful, nice than anything else. To dance with the Supreme Lord. Have a loving relationship with Him. Dance with Him, joke with Him, talk with Him, play with Him. Prabhupada says you eat with Him. Right? In an absolute transcendental spiritual reality. Chintamani, built out of spiritual reality, spiritual energy. So in comparison to this, to merge into this impersonal, just be static. Because there you are like neutral. You can go there, yeah, but you're like this. For a long time. Quite some time. And then with time you think, oh, what am I doing here? You can do, and then you fall out of it, and you start the whole thing again to work yourself up. Because this reality, this impersonal, it's static, right? There's nothing happening. It's void. It's all one void thing, right? So it's static. And what is the opposite of static? Huh? Dynamic. I would call it ecstatic. Right? And this is Krishna's reality. There's dynamic, right? Something happening, but it's all spiritual. And that's the reason why it's ecstatic. Right? So it's much higher. According to all what we are talking here. It's not prejudice. It's all according to the Vedic scriptures, who speak on the cartography of the reality. Okay, thank you very much. So dance with Krishna is the point Prabhupada makes. Any questions? Everyone agrees? Someone coming? Hello.
So when we speak especially about this dancing with Krishna, I hear sometimes devotees saying, "Oh yeah, I want, I wanna dance with Krishna, or I wanna eat with Krishna, or I wanna enjoy with Krishna." But mostly, I don't know if the mentality is what is the mentality behind it? How we can be develop the desire to be to associate with Krishna, but on the other hand, that we do it for the pleasure of Krishna, and not that again we standing in the center of the activity.
Yeah, as far as I can understand, and also Prabhupada throughout the reading his books and all this, I can kind of see that Prabhupada is a little bit tricking us. It's true. Yeah, he's tricking us. Because he speaks about all this as, it's in one sense, come and dance with Krishna, kind of. And if you like this, and yes, you more and more fall into it, and you like it, and start practicing. But then you see, of course, there's more to do. So, but you're already triggered. You're already caught, because Krishna is so nice. And you will take the path of purification and learning and practicing. You will take it happily. And you understand, you get also the intelligence. Of course, there is more to it than just, I go to Krishna now, something. We have lots of ego and we have to learn. And we will be happy practicing seriously, because we can see the more we make advancement, we can have more realization and freedom of our mind, and you see it's all good. So Prabhupada, in one sense, he offers us Krishna very easy, yeah, and but at the same time, it's not so easy. Of course, there's more to it, yeah. Krishna is not cheap, but Prabhupada, as the pure devotee, he takes Krishna from the highest reality and just shows him to us, kind of. And then you see, oh, this is Krishna, this is nice, I want. And says, okay, so but now you have to, work a little bit on you. But you already see and know so much that you know, oh, I want this. He sets the goal, so to say. And if you practice, you will see there's more to learn. And it's also wonderful. It's wonderful to learn and to work on us. Yeah. So definitely, it's not just, I want to dance with Krishna, I want to enjoy. Because this is the mentality of material world. The mentality in spiritual world is always Krishna first, pleasure of Krishna. This is love, selfless. And also in the dancing, you dance with Krishna for his pleasure, and all this is, this is clear. So this mentality should be given up, of course. Yeah. Like in Goloka Vrindavan, everyone is doing for Krishna's pleasure. There's no selfishness at all. This means love. This we will learn if we continue the path. So this was a little answer. I hope it's a little bit satisfying there for you. Anything else? You want some kirtan? Yes.
Just a point on Prabhupada. I listened to it. He used the word rascal and fools, but to me, he sort of somehow says it with a little bit of sweetness.
Yeah.
It's never like heavy.
No.
Just because you've got the program, it could be easier. Okay, we understand what a fool is and what a rascal is, so
Yeah.
I will tell these people.
Yeah.
And it doesn't work.
Does.
In England, people like heavily preaching, the other people are just like, oh, like,
Right.
let me run away,
Right. Yeah, you have to catch him then.
Yeah.
No, stay. I have to tell you something. No,
Yeah,
of course.
Somehow you have to convince them by telling them they're a demon somehow.
Yeah, that's also good.
I've seen it, that's why.
Okay, yeah, there's a very good point. I can add on this one. Prabhupada is so pure that when he says these things, at first, they are not coming from the ego. If we call someone fool, rascal, idiot, whatever, it's mostly come from our ego, and we want to hurt someone, we want to insult someone, we want to be above someone. Prabhupada is not this. He's not, when he says you're a fool, a rascal, it's not his ego, it's just to wake up someone, to chastise someone, to explain to someone. And it's not that Prabhupada says out of ego, why should he insult someone? He's free of all this pride and all this. This we know. So he's just using this as from humility also, and actually from compassion. And it's said very often when people came, because he is talking about something, and he talked about Maharishi calling him a rascal. But Prabhupada very often called the people directly rascals and fools. And very often they had no problem with it. Because they could sense, it means it actually well. He doesn't want to put me down. Yeah. Very often there was one situation where this was a Mayavadi, right? Everyone knows now already what Mayavadi means, these impersonal guys, the static people, right? So once Prabhupada had a discussion with this guy, and he says, your philosophy is everything is one. So is your shirt and cotton, is it one? And this man says, it was Indian. Yes. Yeah, yes. And Prabhupada says, because it's not one, this is the same substance, but there's a difference between the shirt and this cotton. There's a difference. Can you wear the cotton for work and put a tie or something? It's not the same. So Prabhupada says, is this one, the shirt and the cotton? And the man was so obstinate. Yes. And Prabhupada said, and was loud, is this one, the shirt and the cotton? And the man said, yes. And Prabhupada took him on the shirt and pulled him over his desk. Prabhupada is old, right? He's 70 years old. Man, he said, is this one, this shirt and the cotton? And suddenly it fell on the man. He said, oh, no. And Prabhupada said, see? Understand? And it's very often said when Prabhupada was angry or intense, he was not controlled by it. In the next moment he was like, when we are angry, right? It's very difficult to get rid of anger. If I have a quarrel with Gergel or something, this, that, and then Ben comes to me and I said, what? Well, Prabhupada, when it was like this, he was chastising his disciple, and sometimes was very straight, very angry, very direct, to really to drive the point home, as we say. You know? And another one came, Prabhupada was like chastising this, and then was, okay, okay, this and that. He was completely controlling anger. Because it said, if you are transcendental, you are not controlled by the emotion. You control the emotion. You control mind, senses, also emotion. And you can use the force of anger. Anger is a force, and you can use. But you're not contaminated by it. Normally, anger poisons our heart. Because if the anger comes from the ego, it's connected with envy, anger, all this. And this shouldn't be there. But if you're transcendental, you can use this. And Prabhupada was doing this. If he would tell the disciple who is completely off the wall, yeah, and this and that, you know. Yeah? But he used this force and to bring the people, wake him up. Yeah? So this is a little mysterious, of course, but it was like this. At the same time, we can see how humble Prabhupada was, advanced, how this, that. So we know, we can figure that also when he was straight and direct and rascal, that this was not from the ego, it's different. At times he told his disciples, I'm an old man, I can do this. You should not. And other times he told the disciples, you should also do this. So what he meant, don't be shy in preaching. You have to tell the truth. But at the same time, he also reminded us, be advanced. Because if you're not advanced and imitate Prabhupada, we can get into trouble. But at the same time, we have the obligation to say the truth. So if we become now also hodgepodge, softy, this and that, it's not good. We have an obligation. And we have to tell it as it is. This is another thing. We have to tell it as it is. I'm sitting right now here. This seat, how is it called? Who knows? What's this seat? This seat I'm sitting here. What is it called? Vyas Asan. Asan means seat. And Vyas, who is Vyas? Vyasadeva. He's the original speaker compiler of the Veda. I am right now representing Vyasadeva. I'm representing the whole Guru Parampara. I'm representing Srila Prabhupada. And I have to explain what they teach. I have to repeat what they teach. I cannot tell my stuff. And sometimes I come across points where I think, oops, this is a little direct. I have to say it. I'm right now talking about Bhagavat. Like yesterday, I had some 2-3 points, maybe one point in particular, which is not pleasant. But I have to say it, I have to repeat it, I have to explain it. It's not pleasant for the audience, but it's true. So Prabhupada said like this, we have to speak, even though people become upset. What can we do? It's just, we are obliged. Right? Then it's interesting, Prabhupada was not about Vox Populi, it was not about that people like him. People liked him because he was so pure and advanced and strict and direct and honest. Yeah? But he was not doing this to please everyone. He was just communicating. And even sometimes people did not like. Like, he quotes us, Jesus, Nityananda, Haridas Thakur, most of them they don't like. That doesn't mean, oh, we have to change now because people don't like what we say. We have to stick to our stuff. We have to be, and people will see with time, these guys are for real. So we should stick to Prabhupada. Saying what he says as good as we can. Okay? Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande. Hari Bol. Srila Prabhupada ki.